I suppose I thought a man was anything except me, but I thought that a man was, you know, easy, confident, and clever. I made a fatal assumption about myself, which was that I wasn't any of these things, therefore I had to pretend. It turned out, in later life, I discovered that all of it had been completely unnecessary.
Another chapter in my life has just ended. Some good times have been spent, it's been splendid. Now I'm headed in a different direction, same frame of mind. All that's changed is my mental perception, the birth of a new lesson. As I envision my decisions with accurate precision. To live a comfortable life, that is my focus, make it my mission. MC Zane. Shame. Wow. I think shame is doing something you deeply regret. And I know a lot of people say you shouldn't have regrets because they what shape you. But we're all human and we do have shame. There were definitely good times. He taught, is why I love music, is because of my father. He was a musician. But there was another side to him where he did drink a lot of alcohol and he was quite abusive. And that, I guess it made me stronger when I look back in hindsight, but I guess now, yeah, it was difficult growing up. There was a period where I didn't speak to him for like 5 years. Like the first time when I first started talking to him, we kind of had it out, you know? And I let everything off my chest, and that was like a big release, because that kind of hate and anger you carry with you, that if you carry that for a lot of years, that can cause a lot of pain and suffering. And it took a lot for me to kind of release that. He said, "Do you want a drink?" You know, we had a drink together. I think one of my biggest regrets is bottling up my emotions when I was young. I never used to really communicate my emotions. I used to just hold it all in. Music was my escapism growing up. That was what I used to go to. I used to write, I used to produce, I used to play guitar, and that was kind of how I used to shut off, in one sense, shut off my emotions, but in another sense, channel my emotions. So music was definitely a release, and it helped me through a lot of times, a lot of hard times. Uncomfortable feelings of being watched by suspicion, paranoia taking over in all of this confusion. I can't be using weak methods that will only slow me down to losing seconds. Can't be a pessimist, only an optimist. What do you reckon? Real lyricist, that is my only confession. So let's close this rhyme session. Yeah, it's an old verse, but I think I wrote that in a time when I was in that transitional period, you know? Yeah, it's an old verse, but yeah, it still resonates with me quite a lot.
I had an injury, well, it wasn't my fault, it was someone else. Dropped a bar in the gym, which landed on my back, my spine, my lower spine. I just remember hitting the floor on the bar, hitting the other side. And for weeks, months, I was in some severe pain. I went through them all, diclofenac, ibuprofen, cocodamol, you know, right up till the point of where I couldn't take it no more. They sent me for an x-ray, but the x-ray showed nothing. And it wasn't until I had an MRI scan that they realized the severity of the damage. But by then, having not got the treatment that I was supposed to get originally, I ended up drinking. That just spiraled so way out of control, it was unbelievable. You know, because first it was, well, I'll have a little drink to help with the pain. And then it was, I'll have a little drink because the last drink I had made me feel nice. And then you continue drinking like that, not seeing it as a problem. I didn't want to see myself as disabled. I didn't want to see myself as permanently damaged. But your manhood's wrecked because you can't do what other families do, what other men do. You know, I can't play football with like the kids. I can't ride bikes like everyone else. I can't do any of that stuff no more. You don't realise you've been robbed of that right to be a fully functioning man. You feel ashamed to cry, in fact. But I got to the point where I just cried anywhere, for anything. And it's all right to cry. You know, we're humans, it's all right to cry. But as a man, you feel you don't have that right, so you can't cry. You know, you shouldn't be allowed to cry. So I never actually really thought of the end consequences to my drinking. It was just so comforting. And when I realized death was on the table, I chose the time. I thought the time is right now to seek help. I'm in a lonelier place now than I've ever been, but at least I'm able to get up and walk about without drinking. You know, it's very hard to be out here.
Advice to a large group of people, say, really sorry, this sounds quite bad here. It's funny, as soon as we stop, they stop. I think we need to move somewhere a bit quieter. Are you okay here?
Yeah.
Brilliant,
Yeah. I think it's a bit wrong. People see that men should act some way and women another. I guess we're all here doing the same thing. We should all act in the same way. I mean, I saw myself as a bit different to my family. Never really got on too well with them. Brothers, like my dad, they all loved football growing up. I preferred rugby and preferred skating, and yeah, it was just a bit different. So didn't have so much to talk about. If I was going through something difficult growing up, yeah, I guess I could go to my family, but I don't know. Yeah, you just sort of deal with it, I guess. There's some things you can't really speak to friends about. So yeah, you just sort of deal with it, get over it. I had this sort of ideal movie idea of how it might be. Which turned out completely different. Yeah, not, I don't know, just complete happiness, ridiculous idea. I don't know, I lived in a small village, so you just get so used to everyone and then you go far away and you realise the world's a lot bigger than you think.
What worries you most about growing up?
The uncertainty of what I might be doing, where I'll be, which friends I'll still have, if I'll live up to expectations after uni, and yeah, I guess just not really having any idea of what I'll be doing. Not knowing.
I've been managing Omar for about 3 or 4 months. He came into the team through a recommendation. He's been a regular starter ever since. So I see Omar as a younger, talented version of myself who needs and could do with a bit of guidance. A couple of years ago, I was at a point in my life where I was really worried about would I find a job, or would I find a job that would be able to provide for myself and my wife. And I guess that pressure of I'm not sure if I can find something was quite a lot to take in, and for my confidence sake I didn't really tell anyone that I was struggling, so I kept it all inside, and thankfully things worked out. But yeah, I was under a lot of pressure that I didn't really share with anyone.
My biggest challenge right now is to break into the football scene because I need to become semi-pro, which isn't easy to do as well because there's thousands of other men like trying to achieve the same dream that I am. Like last season, I had to stop playing on Saturdays and during the week so I could work and get some money into the house. It puts me down a bit, but it's whatever helps my mum makes me happier. I saw her like stressing about it because before my sisters left, because they all got married and left the house, before they left they were helping pay, so it's my turn now.
Why did your parents name you that?
Exactly, because he's Con and I'm Dom. So, Condom. He's Con and I'm Dom. So.
Who would you say is the most competitive out of the two of you?
It's a really hard question. We're both equally as competitive. We've always been that way since we were young.
Yeah.
I would say I have the competitive edge. I quite often find myself losing to my brother, and that does wind me up a little bit, and that can bring up my competitive side, but yeah, we are both pretty competitive. We cancelled our dream to become footballers. We always wanted to be footballers from a young age, and we had to get to that point whereby we had to call it, like, let's call it off. Yeah, the lowest time after that decision was when we had to go to work, because we had to face the realities of a completely different lifestyle.
Yeah, and I would say, obviously, there's a big hole that's left in your life when you kind of decide to quit. So obviously, the next week and you're at home and you need to decide what you want to do then.
I'd say my biggest worry right now is trying to stay healthy from a mental point of view, in terms of trying to be happy. I mean, I always get up, but the desire is not there. I'm thinking about the commute to work, my day at work, my commute home from work. They're the reasons why I don't want to get up.
Yeah, when Con says stuff like that, I mean, it makes me want to help him. So we'll definitely we'll work on that, and we'll get him to a better place with regards to that. But I wouldn't say he's really unhappy every day, you know. Yeah.
I would have told my 20-year-old self, nobody knows what's going on in your mind. Nobody knows where you come from. The only person who has any great enthusiasm for you being inadequate or unfinished or unsatisfactory in some way seems to be you. Don't assume that other people see you as you are in the habit of seeing yourself, which in my case, because I have a kind of, or I did have, and I still have, when under pressure, a tendency to think negatively about myself. And there was a period when I didn't work for quite a long time, and therefore I was thrown back on myself, and I didn't get the status hit that you get when somebody gives you a job. And I didn't get it for quite a long time. And I realized then that I'd been reliant on it, deeply reliant on it.
How did you cope with that? What did you do to cope with that?
I would reassure myself that whatever I was, it was enough and it was fine. And I stopped searching other people's faces to see how I was doing, which was my only source of reassurance. People often say things like, well, it's okay for you because you're laid back. Or you are, when people used to use the word mellow. I am mistaken for someone who is mellow. I want to say, try being this mellow for 24 hours, take a walk around my head. Take some time out in my mind and see how laid back I am. It's difficult to think your way out of stuff when a large part of your trouble is your thinking. It's quite difficult to think your way out of that stuff. So you need a second opinion. You need someone not to be you, just someone with some distance. And it's an ancient thing, that offloading, that release that you get and saying, do you ever feel like this? Or did this ever happen to you? Or guess what happened? Guess what I did? Is a very powerful remedy. And my father was a part-time driving instructor. And when he went on a driving lesson with my dad, he used to, if you messed anything up, he'd say, it's how you recover that counts. And I've used that as a general kind of remark all my life. So if you mess up, it's the next bit that counts. You know, I don't have to be any cleverer than I am. I don't have to be, you know, funny or better looking or something. You know, I'm this. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. And you know, I'm perfectly okay. Well, I'm not perfectly okay, but I'm nearly perfectly okay. Can you be nearly perfectly okay? No, of course you can't. But I'm sort of comfortable, you know.